darlings.
Hello, darlings. Here we are again with cooking champagne on a beer budget.
Oh, yes, my beer. Thank you, beer drinkers. Thank you, beer inventors. God bless them.
Oh, yes. Made ugly people get laid everywhere.
We know.
Oh, yes, we should know.
Carry on, darling.
Anyway, today we're going to be cooking a beautiful shepherd's pie. Now, this will impress your friends, of course, and if you have a young lady over,
Absolutely.
and you want to impress her, this is a good one. It's not a summer dish, really, but it's kind of an every-time dish, really, isn't it?
Yes, I think
Yes,
so.
it doesn't have to be cold to eat it. Anyway, what we need is 2 medium-sized onions, like so. Garlic, of course, because we all love garlic.
We do love garlic.
As explained earlier in our first video. Oh, I did so enjoy that, darling.
Yes.
What was it? Chicken carbonara.
Or
Yes.
carbonara. Lovely though, wasn't it? We had some lovely comments.
Oh, yes, lovely.
Mostly about my breasts, but moving on, darling.
Yeah. Anyway, and some beef mince, of course, and just go to your local supermarket and pick up one of these lovely little prepared recipe thieves. What do they call them?
Gravy thickening, darling.
Yeah, basically. Or you can use Gravox.
Yeah.
And a nice little dollop of mixed vegetables, doesn't matter which brand, and of course some cheese. I use mozzarella because it sort of melts easier.
It does, darling.
It looks lovely.
You know, I often thought about diving into a paddling pool full of mozzarella.
Oh, yes, I think you'd probably drown, dear.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to cut our onions up fairly, fairly nice and finely. You don't have to be too fussy. It's just like rough but small.
Rough like a sailor, darling.
Oh, rough as a sailor on a winter's day. Any port in a storm. Anyway, there we go.
Choppy.
Yes, we'll just chop it up. Just, basically like that. Now, I'm going to put that in the pan right now. Now, first of all, I give it a dollop of olive oil. Right in there. And I'm going to put my onions in. But first I should turn the fire on. Now, we'll get it nice and hot. It doesn't really matter. We'll just chop them in.
Garlic, darling. Must have garlic.
Oh, yes, I'm going to put some garlic in now. Just hold on a tick. There we go. Now, I've got the garlic already over here. I think, it appeared out of nowhere.
It's very hard to use crutches and hold the camera,
Yes, I know. I have trouble with my crutch all the time. You know what I mean?
What's he doing?
Oh, I need a spoon, darling.
I'll get
Can you get me a spoon out of the drawer, please, dear? Thank God we're using a GoPro.
I'm a bit of a GoPro myself. Oh, it's gone off. And there we are.
No, it just goes off every now and again. Now, a nice dollop of that. A couple of dollops, actually. Why not?
What's that? Two teaspoons?
2 teaspoons, roughly.
2 onions?
Very roughly.
2 medium-sized onions?
2 medium-sized onions. A little bit of garlic. 2 tablespoons. Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of thyme in because there's nothing like a bit of thyme, is there, really?
No, of course not. Thyme is as thyme does, darling.
Oh, yeah. So just sprinkle a little bit in there, not too much. And then some oregano, or oregano, if you prefer.
It's oregano.
So anyway, we just give the onions a bit of a stir up with all the lovely ingredients in there. And I mean, this is just the foundation of what's going to be a stunning meal. Now, look, I didn't mention it before, but I prepared some potatoes earlier for the mash. Part of the dish is mash on top. So I've cooked some potatoes in there, cooking away nicely. I mean, I don't have to show you how to cook a potato. Just cube them up fairly small so that they cook quick, and then just boil them in water, and I'll show you how to mash them later.
Of course, we start off adding all the flavours to the onions, don't we, darling? Because you want all the flavours to come out.
Oh yes, quite right.
If you sprinkle the herbs in once the stuff is cooked, it just doesn't work, darling, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Tastes like shit.
Yes, tastes like herbs.
Oh, yes.
With shit on it. So anyway, I'm going to stop laughing, dear.
I can't help it.
I've got some lovely beef mince, and that's from the Asian shop down the road.
Oh, they're lovely
all
people.
These ingredients are local. Whatever. Anyway.
I just hope that's local beef, darling, and not local cat or something.
Yeah, well, it could be. I don't know.
It did say Mr. Frisky on the label.
You can't make aspersions about our Asian friends.
I'm not. I'm just saying that it was lovely and cheap.
You know, my husband is Asian.
He is indeed. Lovely fellow.
Yes.
Lovely fellow.
Well Hung Lung is his name.
Oh God.
I met him in a Chinese restaurant.
I can hear the letters coming in now. Did you hear me? Going funny with my voice there, darling.
Yes, I did. Why? Are you emotional?
No, I choked on my own spittle. Can you understand? Awful thing to do.
Yes, I've never done that
Anyway,
before.
darling, we'll have a look at this. So, and you're going to cook that until it's all brown, darling?
Yes. I'm just chopping it up a bit, you know, like make it all sort of loose and nice and even, if you know what I mean.
Yes, because you need to work it a little bit, dears, because
Now, we need to leave that for a little while.
We don't want lumps in it.
I don't want it to burn, and I just want the flavours to go through with the onion and the garlic and the lovely herbs we put in before. And they'll all be mixing in there lovely now, because it's a little bit raw, isn't it? So I need to let it cook one side and then start turning it and messing around with it in a minute. So I'm going to give it probably about 5 minutes, and it'll be fine.
I think our American friends would call that ground beef, wouldn't they?
Ground beef, yes.
Ground beef, yes.
That's my husband calls it ground beef, because he's from the Philippines, you know.
He does. He is.
Yes.
He's a very nice man.
Yes, he's a little bit short, though.
He is short, yeah.
He looks a bit like a cross between, I don't know, Fu Manchu and an Oompa Loompa.
Yes, because he's got that orange colouring, hasn't he?
We've been cooking the mince, the ground beef. So we cooked the ground beef, and we put onions and garlic first. And we've mixed our herbs in there because, you know, as Peggy always says, you must put the old herbs in there to get the flavour through the onions, and then the onions just so they're almost see-through. And then I've added the mince, and then we're cooking that off. And I think by now it should be just about ready. Have a look, darling.
Yes, I think it's nice and brown, darling.
No, it's lovely, isn't it?
I think it's just ready for the off.
Now, I've just poured myself a glass of Merlot. That's a sweeter version of Shiraz, but I like it. Anyway, I'm going to try it.
Cheers.
Oh, it's lovely, darling. I'm just going to go though. Oh dear. I really hurt my boobie then.
She's pissed again. Pissed again.
No, darling, just a little bit squiffy. You know what I mean? Squiffy.
Oh, yes.
Now, darling, would you like to take over, and I'll tell the chaps what's happening while you're doing that for me.
Thank you, darlings. We're going to cook the mince, and that's all browned off lovely.
I really wish you could remember my name just once, darling.
I think I've called you 3 different names in the last 5 minutes.
Yes.
One of them.
5 seconds more like it.
One of them Mama says we're never to use.
Oh, carry on.
Something about I don't know.
But just carry on, you silly old tart.
Right. I think we're ready to for the veggies, darling, for the mixed veggies.
Dad, I'm just going to mix these veggies in, darling.
And how much veggie? It's just a cup, is it, darling? Just a cup?
Yes, a cup and a bit. So it looks like this.
You can put what veggies you like in there, really, but traditionally it has onions, carrots and celery.
Oh, yes, but I just use mixed veggies because, you know, these bachelor chaps, they just love to grab a bag of mixed veggies.
Because it's quick, isn't it, dear?
Oh, yes, they don't have to cut anything up, and it's
and that's what we're trying to say, is that there are ways of doing things to make it quicker, and you still get the same product at the end.
Oh, yes, darling, it's all very tasty and lovely. Now, I've got a recipe base here. It's for cottage pie, but it doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, my mother was such a bad cook, you know.
Oh, yes, she was dreadful.
Our mother was dreadful cook. She cooked a cottage pie one day, and the council came round and condemned it.
God.
Oh, bloody hell. Yes. That's the one. That's the one.
Now, what Penny's chuckling there really is a gravy mix.
Yes, basically it's just gravy. If you don't have one of those cottage pie recipe bases or shepherd's pie you can buy from the local supermarket, I got all this from the local Foodland. Oh,
Which is all right if you live in Australia, of course, where we
Yeah.
are, darling.
I know, but Tesco's or whatever. I don't know what they have in Japan. What do they have in Japan, darling?
Terrible weather, I hear.
Oh, yes, quite.
Anyway, so you've mixed that in.
Yes, I've mixed that in. It makes it quite a little bit thicker because it is, after all, like you said, gravy mix. So it gives us that lovely beefy, tasty yumminess.
That's one of our words, darling. The beefy,
Beefy,
tastiness.
tasty yumminess.
Yes, absolutely.
Beefy, tasty yumminess.
Along with chickeny flavoury thing.
Yes, chickeny flavoury thing. So I'm going to add a little bit of water, darling. Just a quarter of a cup of water.
And that's to
See, that says quarter of a cup.
And that makes the gravy, darling, doesn't it?
I've got hair in my mouth. Again.
Makes a change.
Darling, you're so naughty. Anyway, we'll give that a little bit of a mix around, and I'm going to increase the heat, darling.
Now,
So that
at
it
this point,
thickens up.
you could taste it and see what it tastes like. And if it's not tasty enough for you, you can add some powdered beef stock, or you can add some liquid beef stock if you feel
Or
inclined.
some Gravox.
Yeah, or some tomato sauce even. Ketchup. Put some ketchup in there, darlings.
No, I don't want bloody ketchup in it. That's common, darling. This is posh. This is
Oh,
going
yes.
to look so posh when it's finished.
And we know posh, don't we, darling?
Oh, we do. I might even add a little bit of red wine. Why not? There we go. Chuck a bit of that in. Yes. Always good.
Red wine is good with everything, dear.
Oh, yes. Especially my Tommy. Anyway, darling, here we go.
But we don't want it too liquidy, though, do we, darling? Because the mashed potato...
No, I don't think there's any danger of that at the moment. In fact, I'm quite worried. I might add a little bit more water.
Yes, I think it'd be good to show people what it looks like when it's done right.
Thank you. Sorry.
What's that noise?
I don't know. Every time I touch my boobies, accidentally or otherwise, there seems to be a little squeaky sound. I don't know what that is. Yeah, well, it must be the trials of being a woman, darling.
Indeed.
In the modern world.
I noticed it when we watched the video that we did. You know how we
Yeah.
like to watch it, darling.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
there was some really funny sounds whenever we touched our boobies. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Yes. Now, I think that's quite thick enough.
Yes, because
I do.
you don't want the mashed potato to fall into it. It has to sit on the top. doesn't
Oh,
it?
yes, darling. So I'm going to leave that for a little while. In the meantime, I'm now going to grab those potatoes because I'm quite sure they're done. They've been boiling since we started our little adventure here. So what I'm going to do is take them off the stove, drain them. Drain.
Drain, darling.
Yeah, that means get all the water out. And then I'm going to mash them.
Oh, I'm excited. I do enjoy good mashing.
Oh, I love a mashing. It's smashing, isn't it?
Let's go over to the preparation area and do it there, darling. Do you think?
Yes.
Righto.
Potato. I'm putting a decent couple of dollops. Dollops,
darling. About 3 tablespoons for those who...
Yes, look, I mean, you can see how much that is, right? Just chuck it in there. It's lovely. A little bit of pepper. Oh, I love pepper. Gives it that little zing. Yeah, I should open it first, maybe. Yeah.
Do you know, darling, I've watched you now casually make this lovely dish, and you really are a silly bitch, aren't you?
Yeah. It has been said, darling, on many occasions. And a little bit of salt, of course. The two major, seasonings.
Oh, what's that, darling? What's that?
Oh, this is my secret weapon.
Is it?
I chuck a little dollop. See, about a teaspoon of hot English mustard. Now, don't worry, darlings, it's not going to burn you. You actually just sort of kind of taste it.
What's mustard is really good because it brings out that lovely, gives you a cheesy taste. If you're ever making macaroni cheese, you can add a little bit of mustard to it. It makes it very cheesy. Brings out the flavour.
I'll give it a bit of a mix around, darling. I'll give it a mix around first, because these potatoes are well and truly done.
If you can't get hot English mustard, you can use that yellow thing that the Americans have, that hot dog mustard. You can use a bit of
Yes, or Dijon.
Dijon. Yes, it's very nice.
Dijon. Yeah, very French, darling. Very posh.
Yes, but it's brown. It's brown, isn't it? So
Yes. And don't use that mustard with the seeds in it. Absolutely pointless. So anyway, I'm going to put some milk in here too.
Straight from the cow.
Well, hardly, dear.
Straight from the carton, more like it. Anyway, we'll chuck a little bit in there first, see how we go. If it's too gluggy or whatever, you can always add more later. It's a sort of a hit or miss thing, the old mash.
About a quarter of a cup that was, darling.
Was it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're very good at measuring, dear.
Yes, I know.
By sight. Was that how you met your husband, darling?
Well, no. I met my husband, Mr. Fanny Leather, you know. I was in London.
Mr. Who?
Fanny Leather, darling. Fanny Leather.
Oh, yes, quite right, yes.
And we were in London, and I was on a moped. A moped.
Was you?
Yes.
Yeah, it
And,
must have been the 60s, darling.
And
What are you, 90?
somebody hit me with a jag.
Really?
Yes, and of course, as I went over the bonnet, I looked at him and I thought, what a charming man.
Lovely.
It turns out that Mr. Fanny Leather was a charming man.
Yeah.
So I married him. It was
Yeah,
either that
okay.
or sue him. So he chose marriage,
Yes, quite right.
which was a shock to his children and his wife.
Yeah,
But we did get on.
yes, of course. Because you're a bit of a tart, aren't you?
I am. Of course, there was my terrible accident at, the Beatlemania accident I had.
No, yes.
And that's how I lost my leg. That's why we have to have practice, darling. Because,
Yes. But we don't.
Oh, I don't mind.
It was a bit of an unfortunate incident.
It was.
So anyway, you do your mash. You just mash your mash.
Show them.
I'm going to show you the finished product in a minute.
Oh, it's very creamy, darlings.
I give it a little bit of a whip. You know. I give it a bit of a
Indeed.
like that. Oh my bloody hair. God.
We don't want it too runny because it's got to go on top of the mince.
That's right. So that's about perfect.
Oh,
Look at that.
It's like wallpaper paste, isn't it, darling?
So I'll set that aside and then I'll put all my utensils in the old kitchen sink. Yeah. That's my dish. Oh, there it is.
She's a mad bitch.
Yeah. Here's my dish.
Shall I go and get your meaty bits, darling?
Go and get my meaty bits. Yes. While he's doing that, I'll explain to you that
He, darling, he.
she, I mean. Sorry. That was unfortunate. Oh, ghastly. Cool, look at that. Yes, lovely. Right.
Here we go.
Anyway, as you can see, we've put the mince mixture into the baking thing.
Here, look at that.
There, look lovely.
You've spread it out lovely, haven't you, darling?
Yes, now, what I like to do, you know, because if you're having a young lady around or whatever, you should really clean up your stuff here.
Well, because it will go burn on, won't it, darling?
Oh, yes, it will burn on, and it won't look as nice. I do like things to look lovely. You know what I mean, darling?
Oh, absolutely, darling.
I'm just going to
I don't know how you get up in the morning and say that.
Oh, I do, every day. Believe me.
Okay, Peg.
You don't get this good looking just by standing still, you know. Anyway, I thought I would use one of these. You can pick these up anywhere. A normal spoon or a serving spoon will be plenty. You just sort of dollop your mashed potato over the top, and it doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you get an even... I'm going to smooth it out in a minute anyway.
Oh, lovely.
So we'll chuck it all in there.
Do you know, that was 6 potatoes and that was just the perfect amount, wasn't it,
Oh,
darling?
yes, quite right. I mean, 5 would have done it, but I added 1 for the cooking gods.
Oh, absolutely. Must always.
1 for the cooking gods. Always. When in doubt, put more in, because you don't want to be left trying to spread this across your top of your lovely shepherd's pie and not have enough.
I'd rather fill a whole paddling pool full of mashed potato and romp around with Mr. Fanny Leather. He would enjoy that, you know.
Yes, I know, but you mentioned mozzarella before. I mean, what is it with you and bathing in things that you usually eat?
I don't know.
It's a bit weird, darling.
It is.
But kind of alluring, really.
To be honest,
Just like me.
we're paddling on a bit, darling, but, you know,
Yes, anyway.
I'd rather bath in a big pool of jelly, but it's hard to get jelly at the moment.
Yes, it is. And can you imagine how much jelly would need to cover that?
Indeed, darling.
I mean, good gracious me. So we try and use as much as we can out of the pot. That can go in the sink now. I'm just going over to the sink. Hello, darlings. I'm just here going to, add a bit of decoration. Some presentation, so to speak. So I just go around very, very lightly with the fork and making little ridges like that. Isn't that lovely?
Lovely, darling.
It's like ploughing a field.
Oh, I do love to plough.
Oh, I love to plough right in.
Do you know, and what happens, of course, is that the little ridges, they become browner than everything else, and it looks really crispy and lovely, doesn't it, darling?
Oh yes, and when you put the cheese, it all sits in there. Lovely.
You're going to cheese it now.
Yes. Yes, I'm going to cheese. We all love cheese, darling. Cheese and wine, wine and wine, wine and wine, martini and wine, and cheese. It's good.
Yes, I agree with that.
So I'm just going to sprinkle the mozzarella cheese over the top, and that's going to melt just lovely, darling. And of course, if you use mozzarella, you can use cheddar, you can use anything you want, really.
It's all that yellow cheese that the Americans love. Do you know that yellow cheese? I don't know what it's called. Monterey Jack. Monterey Jack's a lovely cheese.
Oh yes, you can use that, but we don't because
We're posh, darling.
We're posh. Now what I'm going to do now is add some Parmesan cheese just to finish it off, because it does go a bit crispier, and it's lovely, darling.
She's off. I'll entertain you.
Oh, I'm sure you will, darling.
So, you saw what we did earlier, is we chopped up our 2 onions, we fried them with the herbs and the garlic. We had beef, darling, beef, about 500 grams. And we cooked that up lovely, and we put a bit of beef stock on to give it that lovely beefy flavour. You know, we like chickeny flavour and we like beefy flavour. So we've done that. And when the meat was cooked, we added that gravy mix powder, as you saw. And of course then we added the water until it was a nice gravy consistency. And then we poured it into the lovely dish here, plopped mash on top, 6 potatoes, not too big, about half the size of a man's hand. And obviously I wouldn't know, but yeah. 6 potatoes chopped up, boiled until they're soft, drained the water off because we're so clever. Then we popped in a big blob of butter, salt and pepper, did we, darling?
Oh yes.
Salt and pepper. And then we mashed until it was lovely and mashy. And I think mashing is the saying all world round. If you mash something, it is indeed mashed.
Where the bloody hell is the Parmesan?
Oh, it's in the fridge, darling, on the second shelf.
Bloody hell. I thought it would be in the larder.
It's in the fridge, darling, second shelf, near the back.
Okay, thank you, I'm going in there.
Anyway, here we go. Here comes Penny, and she's going to show you what we do next. It involves an oven. Who thought? An oven, darling?
Oh yes, an oven.
Here she...
Now, look, I did find the Parmesan at the back of the fridge, like you said. And here we are. I'm just going to sprinkle... Stop drinking my wine. Get a glass, darling. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, remember where you are. You are a fanny leather, you know.
Any more of that wine, I'll certainly forget where I am and who I am. Again, darling, do you remember when we turned up at the police station that time? Oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
Yes, I know. She had to ask her own name and address.
I think the worst part was that I was dressed as a walrus.
Yes, well...
And had the whole cut out where your bum goes. It was very embarrassing.
Well, it must have been a day with a Y in it.
Oh, you saucy devil.
You saucy little
You were...
Anyway, I've got plenty of Parmesan on there now. I need a drink. Oh my God.
While Penny drinks, we're going to pop it in the oven. We won't show you that because an oven is an oven, isn't it, darling?
Yes, but I will mention that I actually have it on... What's the setting? It was a grill fan. If you've got a fan full stop, which I think most people do these days, if you don't, it doesn't matter. Just set your oven at about 180 degrees centigrade and then whack it in.
And that's what we're going to do now.
And you only need to leave it in there for about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, see you soon. Here we are. Look, we've just taken it out of the oven not 2 minutes ago. Absolutely beautiful, darling.
It is beautiful. Lovely golden brown. That's golden brown. Not
Golden brown.
Yes, golden brown.
Not like... Shut up, dear. Golden pink?
You're going to serve it up, darling.
Golden green? No. Golden brown? Yes. And that's what it is. Look, the cheese is melted. It's burnt a little bit. Just a little bit. Oh, it's very jolly. And we've added a bit of garnish to the plate, as you can see.
Little bouquet, darling.
Yeah, yes. So it's just a bit posh, you know.
Because we know posh.
Oh, we do. We are posh.
I'll get a survey thing. You talk to the lovely...
Yes, yes. So anyway, we're going to just cut a little piece off and have a taste like we always do at the end of the show. Right. There.
That's all I could find, dear.
No, that'll do. I'm going to cut into it. Now, normally I would just section it off. Depends how many people you've got. You can have, if you do it that way, if you do it 1, 2, and then down the middle, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll serve 6 this meal.
I think so. And you can have some vegetables with it, which would be nice.
And if you invite greedy bastards, it will serve 4.
Yes, we do know a greedy bastard, and he keeps sending us dick pics. He does.
He does. Cut a little bit off the edge here. Oh, look at that cheese. It's all melting and lovely folding into it. Lovely jubbly. Just take that bit out like that. Just scoop from the bottom. Chuck it on your plate. I'm going to taste the final product. It looks very nice. You've got that lovely crusty bit on the top, which is very important for presentation. You saw that in the dish. Like we suggested before, maybe a knife or something to cut it with before you serve it up. It keeps it intact. It's a little thing, but when you're trying to impress your friends, it's a good thing to do. But don't worry, darling. Once they get their mouth around this, they will be impressed, I assure you. Anyway, let's try it, darling. I'm just going to try a little bit of this and get a little bit of that in there.
Be careful, darling. Remember you dropped a pea on your foot last time.
Yes, I know.
With your overness need of things.
Yes, I do. I don't.
Has it gone?
Oh, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Just the right amount of salt, darling. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And it's beefy niceness, isn't it?
Beefy yumminess is what I call it.
You know, next week I'm going to do a thing with pork chops.
Really?
Yeah.
What, darling?
I'm not saying. You have to watch the episode and find out.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to that. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like us. If you like us. If you don't, well, that's okay too. But don't forget to subscribe. All the recipes will be on the
description.
In the description underneath. And we do have an email address. What is that, darling?
It's penandpeggy@gmail.com.
At gmail.com. How modern of us. I do love it. Anyway, until next time, tutty bye.
Goodbye, we love you.
Toodaloo.